Change. Why is it important? Because changed people change the world. And that is our ultimate goal as Christians, to change the world for Christ, to continue what was started in the book of Acts, continuing to be transformed by our minds being renewed, understanding and knowing that we have all power from heaven that backs us up if we only live in a state of surrender. Because when we live in a state of surrender, we find victory. No matter what happens in our lives, our immediate, almost reflective response should be biblical because of our transformation. Because God is continuing to renew our minds. No matter what comes our way, the way we respond is biblical. Because our minds have been given to Him. And we have been absorbing the principles of the Scriptures. And so when you have a fight with your wife, we don't act like the world does. We act the way Christ would have us to act. And maybe, just maybe, you never go down that long and lonely road of destruction. You see, Paul knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was saying. Because we live in a complicated world. We live in a world that to live for Christ means going against the grain, to going upstream. It is not easy. But if we utilize the things that we have been given, it's not that bad at all. We make it bad by closing the book and closing God out of His leading, guiding, loving, graceful, merciful Spirit that will guide us. We close Him out. He is always there. This is a process that we must constantly pursue. We must be in constant pursuit of this, of moving away from the world, moving away from its patterns, pulling ourselves, because it's not easy. You have to pull away and let God be the muscle. All we have to do is give up and give in to Him and constantly be in pursuit. And that's why we want to have this class, because we as a church want to do everything that we can for us to move in this direction, for us to take Romans 12, 1 and 2, for us to take James and make it real to us. So it's more than just words on the page, something that James had, but it's our life. It's how we live. It's how we think. It's how we respond. It's how we see people. It's how we who have decided and want to dictate our lives rather than on other people or the world's tendencies. Because somebody is going to take claim of your life. It might as well be you, and you allow God to handle it. Because if it's not God, it will be the world. Again, everything that we are comes from the world or the Word. As a Christian, if the world controls you, you are a conformer. If God controls you, you are a transformer. If the world controls you, you're a conformer. If God controls you, you are a transformer. May our minds and our wills, it's how He ends it, be in a constant state of transformation, that we may be found good, acceptable, and complete. My question is this: what are we going to do with Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2? What are we going to do with the book of James? What are you going to do with the one they called the Christ, who is the ultimate sacrifice, the sacrifice for your soul, who gave everything he had? My answer is to be a living sacrifice, to give him back what he gave to us. But no, when you give back, you find ultimate joy. Some reason the world has twisted our minds to think if we give our lives to God, then we lose all the fun, all the joy, all the happiness, all these great things. And that is something that we've got to kick out of our minds and know without a shadow of a doubt, God's ways are always, always the best ways.